Good afternoon. I'm Monisa Cline here at the GBTA broadcast studio. And joining us today is Susan Lichtenstein, Vice President of Sales for HQ. Susan.
Hi.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
So HQ, tell us about your, when did you start?
Yeah, so I'm very excited. I started HQ about 2 weeks in, 2 days now, so really excited.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. HQ is a global ground mobility company, but what makes them like super amazing is, and you might have read recently, I think BTN had it on the front page yesterday that Lyft is a strategic partner, officially an integrated partner of ours now as well. They take all ground transportation, shared services, on demand, black cars, shuttles for your whatever you need and want. If it's on the ground and globally, we even do the London black taxi cabs, you know, those big fun cabs, the yellow cabs. I mean, we can manage it for you, but the coolest part and why I joined is the technology, because you know I'm a technology nutcake, and it's a microservice that belongs in Omnichannel. So I always say start with the ground up. What a great way to start, easy to do, right? And they actually are able to on the back audit every rate or whatever they call it ground, but rate or fare on the back end, and if it's not right, it goes back and gets corrected, or you don't have to worry about it, and gets sent directly to that traveler or directly dropped into like the data lake or the BI systems or an expense system. You know, partner with Concur so it can go in the Concur, you know, whatever it is. And that, to have that off your plate 100% of the time. They can measure carbon emissions. We have a client that we actually are measuring which are diverse suppliers and which aren't. We'll put the icon on. You can choose a diverse. Just anything you need in the business, we can measure.
Wow.
I know, it's so cool. At the time of booking, and it's all on an app, which I insisted. I was like, is it on an app? Yep. I said, I'm in.
I love it.
I'm in.
Well, listening to you gets me excited about it. I'm not a techie. So that's
cool.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're delighted to have you
at HQ.
HQ.
Well, we'll find out if I'm still here next week. Yeah, we'll see. Especially after GBTA.
Yes. Well, speaking of, what are some of the corporate key trends that you're seeing in the corporate mobility space?
So there's a couple of them that have changed since COVID. So one, I think even when I was, you know, so I was a director of a Fortune 10 company of, you know, very large ground program, launch, everything. But that wasn't something we really focused on. You're always looking at air, hotels, and so you had a couple of partners. You got the expense report done, and they were kind of regional. And then maybe once a year you took a look at what was happening and what wasn't. Now we're finding out that's pretty big expense in a lot of companies, especially since COVID. That ground transportation has just become a better way to go, right? You can control the cleanliness, you can control the safety. A lot of people moved. Right? So now you need ground to go to regional meetings. You're not going to get something other than that. Plus, if you really want to be safe, you want to know in advance that this car has been vetted for safety, inspection, cleanliness. You don't want to just jump in any car sometimes. And sometimes you don't care, but sometimes you do. And so people are driving instead of flying those short distances, which of course helps with sustainability, helps with, you know, maybe you put 2 or 3 people together in a decent sized car. So that has increased. Really increased, and now with that increase, you want to measure the savings. You want to measure the ground transportation is right next to air with sustainability. You saw it today in the big stage. He had that up there 3 times, where he said you can control how sustainable you can be with ground first. That is something you can do. You can choose an electric car. You can choose how many people get picked up at an airport. You can choose what size car you have. That, you know, having a company like HQ to make it easy for you to make that choice so you don't have to think about it is perfect. But that is now moved to the front. I mean, everybody I'm running into is like, it's one of the top reasons I came here was to put this program in place. So I'm like, well, I started on time. So yeah, it's just really moved up in the rankings now since COVID of we need to pay more attention to this because it's becoming one of the major forms of transportation we're using.
And it's a low-hanging fruit,
it's a low-hanging fruit.
So what are the omnichannel and microservices in ground transportation, and where does HQ fit in that picture?
That's a great question. So, like I said, it was very scattered beforehand, so it's not really a microservice, it's just a supplier normally, right? Which is not a microservice. A microservice, or not, so I'm an omnichannel, like, passion person, like that's something I live for, right? So when you want to put a microservice in, you need to be able to, they have to check the boxes, right? And so a lot of people haven't moved into that yet, because if you do it for air, you're going to start with a test pilot, right? Something small. If you do it for hotels, but that's a big chunk of your cookie, right, that you're going to eat.
Right.
Ground is the perfect place to start, right? Because it's an end-to-end, you know, you have your policy, you control. If you don't have a supplier, we have them for you through HQ Connect. So where HQ has built it out to be is, give it to us, we'll build out the microservice and the omni-channel experience for you end to end. We'll put your suppliers in. If you don't have a supplier in the country, we'll give you our supplier. But more importantly, we're going to do the safety stuff. We're going to do the insurance stuff. We're going to do the sustainability stuff. And we're going to do the saving stuff. And most importantly, we're going to do the mobile experience. So because if your travelers don't want to use it, that's it. The game's over. So omni-channel is about experience, and all of those 5 things I said behind the scenes have to happen. And by the way, give me your diversity issues too, because, you know, it's not only me, but, you know, we'll help you with that as well. And we'll make it so easy everywhere you are in the world. If it's not easy, it's not omnichannel, right? So we're going to give them choices. If they want to book through the agency stuff, great. If you want an admin to book it, great. If you want to do it direct, great. Omnichannel, right? So HQ is the only company out there right now in ground that can offer all the channels and all those 5 things I said. So I've been telling people, if you start with the ground up, I'll help, because I love this, I'll help you build your template for that strategy period for your program. We'll do this. Once you have that template, you can use it for hotels and air too.
I love it.
So there you
This
go.
sounds like the perfect sandbox for you.
Yeah, perfect.
Really?
I'm so excited.
Oh, gosh.
Now let's hope they're so excited. Well, you had Charity and she still came back to the booth, so it's good. It's good.
It's wonderful. And she was terrific. So obviously, as a previous travel director at a big tech company, a lot of people know, where do you see the main opportunities of innovation for corporate ground transportation? I mean, you've already hit on a lot of them, but where are the
I
big...
think it has to be easy, right? It has to be direct. Oh, there's my, you know him? Hey, darn, you can come over anytime. So it has to be easy. Salesforce. It has to be easy. It has to be, the experience has to be there, right? Corporations are now wrapping their hands around all their spending. Yeah, COVID opened up our eyes, right?
Right.
And so do you want to pay too much to have something managed small, not really good? Do you want these to be, you need to know where your travelers are, right? Like HQ has that tracking GPS thing that you have so that we know where they are, which car they're in case they need our help. People are paying attention now to ground. They didn't realize how much ground. And if you have a bigger company, like any large company, I mean, the savings is quite significant because you weren't paying attention. When you look at that savings, you're like, holy crap, that's like 5% of my program. That's like 8% of my program. So they're looking for any way they can improve the experience, create a healthy, safe, comfortable environment. And when you're alone in a car or even in with somebody else, you want to get in that car feeling pretty good that somebody's got your back.
Right.
And it has to be sustainable. And it has to be, if you can, be inclusive. Let's be inclusive. You know, let's get it done. And you got to save me money. So they are paying attention now. And if you can do that and be successful, you can do that in your other programs as well. So it's a great place to kind of get your foot in the sand, build it out, and go from there.
Well, it sounds like you are super, super excited to be at HQ. Great opportunity, tremendous opportunity, right, for a lot of
just
customers.
for a lot, just even helping people build that omnichannel programs from the literally from the ground up, build that base.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Susan, always great to see you.
You too.
Thanks so much for sharing a little
Thanks
bit about your new
me.
gig at HQ, and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Monisa Cline here at the GBTA Broadcast Studio.